So Nikki is a senior user experience designer at DBT. After getting her degree in psychology and criminology and unsuccessfully becoming a crime-fighting phenomenon,
I have to carry this with me.
She found her love for solving human problems through technology and design. There is nothing that she loves more than taking on a challenge and task that users don't really enjoy doing and turning it into something that makes things just a little bit easier to handle. Nikki has worked on the ABSA MegaU Kids Banking app, ABSA Mobile Banking app, Vodacom eSchools, and My Top Dog education platforms. She has also facilitated a number of Google Venture Design sprints. And today she's talking about what the hell is UX and human-centered design anyway. So thank you very much, Nikki.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I don't know, is this not a mic? Oh, sorry. No, I think that's a bit much for me. Hello, guys. My name is Nikki. I think she's just done all my hard work for introducing myself. I'm a little nervous, so if I pass out, just drag me off the stage and replace me with someone else. This is the first time I've done a talk for people this size. Well, not size, but group of people. And this is kind of how I feel right now, being a designer in the midst of a whole bunch of developers. But I think this is how most of us feel when it comes to Agile. It's relentless. It's not the most chill. I'm sure we've got our 2-week sprints, and I mean, we just had Easter and all of these holidays. How many people worked over Easter? Okay, only me. I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, so I mean, it is relentless. When do you take a holiday? When you're in the middle of products and all the sprints that come with it. So I typed in developer hell, and this is the picture I got. I love this. I don't know actually if it's his smile or his eyes, but the two are not connecting. So this for me sums up product development and Agile and UX design. And this sums up how to explain UX design. So UX design is a passion of mine, and it's these terms, human-centered design, design-led, user experience, kind of get thrown around when we start talking about the digital age. We've got industries, every industry that's trying to transform the industry with digital, whether it's law or mining. I think we all kind of feel this panic. It's great for us because that's why we earn the big bucks, right? But it can get a little stressful, and it becomes a minefield about what we should build and when we should build it and how we should build it. And that's when these kinds of things, where all we need is a UX designer, we need a design team, we need to be design-led. This is what Google's doing, this is what Apple's doing. It's kind of going to solve everything because science. So now I'm going to ask you guys a few questions, and I'd love for you to participate. Otherwise, I have to answer my own questions. Who has worked with UX designers before? Awesome, quite a lot of you. Awesome. Okay, I'm not going to count. Who has worked in a design-led team before? One guy. Awesome. Who has worked in an agile environment? Okay, most people. And now I'm going to ask somebody to tell me what you love about agile. What's your favorite thing? Okay, one thing. One thing. Okay, nobody loves agile. Okay, what do you hate about agile?
Standing.
Another thing? Anybody?
How wrong people get it.
Right? Yeah. So what would make working with designers easier? And this is probably not working with designers, but yeah.
Learning more about development.
Us learning more about development. Right. Anything else?
Developers knowing more about design.
I like you. Oh.
Kind communication, like respectful communication.
Yeah, and collaboration.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the biggest problems that I found as well. And often they keep us separated for some reason. So I've just put you guys through a bit of user testing. And thank you so much for partaking in that. But I probably should have done this before I actually wrote the speech or am doing this talk, because then I would have known a little bit more about you guys and how you feel about UX designers, how you feel about Agile. It would have made my talk a lot more relevant for you. And it would have given me a lot more confidence in knowing that what I'm talking about isn't total bullshit. Right? So this is what UX designers do. We want to know where someone is using our product, what they are doing when they're using their product. Are they driving? Are they pissed off? Are they at work? Are they on mobile? Are they at home? Are they chilling on the couch? And how are they feeling when they're doing it? Are they happy? Is it an exciting task for them? Is it a grudge purchase or admin related, something that they don't really enjoy doing? So basically design thinking and human-centered design is we use the people we are solving the problem for to help us solve the problem. And this can be done not just by designers, guys. This can happen anytime, anywhere. So now I'm going to use a very obvious example of Uber. I'm not going to go too much into it, except that Uber changed our behavior, especially in South Africa. We didn't have taxis available on a street corner waiting for us at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, back in the day before Uber, how did we book a taxi? Most of the time, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you wouldn't be able to phone a taxi service. They were really expensive. You had to book between 9 and 5. And how long were they going to take before they arrived? And then Uber came out. On the left, we've got an old screen of Uber, the one we know and love and fell in love with. And we used to have to put in our pickup location and our drop-off location. Now, this is awesome because we'd never had anything like this before. But at 2 o'clock on the side of the road, trying to actually remember your address and trying to put it in, it's not as easy as one might think. So I just wanted to use this as a great example of UX when they brought out their update. And look at the little home button. This I thought was amazing because all of a sudden I opened my app, one tap, and I was on my way home. Just another great example of UX. So how do we fit design thinking into our projects? A lot of the times we get there's no budget, there's no time. What is the impact going to be on this entire backlog of features, which I really want because I love them and I think everyone will love them. So these are the kinds of things I've come up against. I've worked in a few different agile teams, some more established than others. And it's always a fight on how do we get UX and the research in. And one great way to do this is Google Venture Design Sprints. Who here has heard of design sprints before? Okay, cool. I really thought this was an amazing thing. I facilitated about 5 or 6 of these, and they do the job. Within 5 days, you have a prototype that's been tested by users. The first 3 days, you get your clients, product owners, developers, designers, all in one room. And for 3 days, you do activities and workshops to find and define a problem statement. You can't build the entire app. You can't solve all the problems. But what is that one problem that if you don't solve it, the entire thing is going to fall over? And that's what you work together to get to that focus. Everybody is on the same page. Everyone's in agreement that this is what we're going to focus on. And on the Thursday, you prototype and design that. On the Friday, you get 5 people in and you do user testing while your clients and the rest of your team actually watch from another room. This is really great in getting client input and buy-in. I've had clients that didn't need it when it really, really was needed. And we eventually got them into a design sprint and words started coming out like, I had no idea this was so hard. Like this problem solving, who knew, you know? So it's really great to get the whole team on board and get consensus. And then we get the old, let's build it, and then put it in users' hands and we get feedback. And that's the whole point of Agile. But do we ever get that feedback? And do we ever put it back into our sprints? And this is something I've seen time and time again. So 2 things you guys can do, and you don't have to be UX designers to do this. Number 1 is guerrilla testing. This is super simple, and I find this works really well, especially if there is no budget and there's not a lot of time. You can go to a coffee shop with 400 Rand, and every person that speaks to them, you give them a cup of coffee. So it's really great for systems that everybody can use. So an Uber, for instance, or a pizza app, or whatever the case is, where most people have bought something before or used that kind of app before. Very easy, takes you a morning, and you have a lot of research and answers already. And then we've got the sponsor user. This is for the guys or the software where it comes to like accounting or a system that somebody uses in their jobs every single day that not everybody is going to be using. What you can do here is speak to a couple people, get your research, but then you dedicate one person for your user testing. You invite them over Skype, you do screen share, and just test with them throughout the product lifecycle. One is better than nothing, and especially when it's something that's like accounting software and they work with it every day, they'll be able to help you a lot. Cool. Now I'm going to get to material design. Rebecca asked me to talk about this for 15 minutes, and I was like, okay. So material design is a design system, and Apple has one, and a lot of the bigger companies are trying to scale up. And how do you do that and keep uniformity? And this is, material design is one of those design systems. Before material design came out, Google had a lot of products, and none of them looked the same. You didn't even know that you were in a Google product when you were using it, and they all worked very differently. So what a design system does is it allows you to grow at scale, but it sets guidelines, and especially for the developer community, let's talk about Android, for instance. This is really important for UX because consistency in experience is what you're looking for. If I download an app and I open it, and I don't know how to use it, I have to learn from the beginning how to go back, where's my menu. It's really difficult. We want that instant feedback. We want to know that when we open it, we know exactly how to get from A to B. A lot of the time, people download their apps and they delete it within a day. Well, in my case, literally 2 minutes. So material design uses motion really well. I'm sure you're all well aware. And that shows users where they're coming from and where they're going to. Another very important UX principle. And it also gives that instant feedback. I've tapped this, it bounces back at me. I know that I've created an action. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about material design. I mentioned Google. Also, my font is Roboto, just saying. Okay. So let's just look at human-centered design, design thinking, UX design. And this is our process. We first start off with empathy. You can't build empathy with a user if you don't know who your user is. The more you learn about the person and the situation, how they feel when they're using a product, the better. It's going to actually take you through your entire project. So empathy is when we do our research, our initial conversations with users, and then we define the problem. We find out what their pain points are, and we define what it is we're trying to solve. Design is not about making things look pretty. It's about solving a need, solving a problem. It's taking the business need and the end user's need and coming up with something amazing. If you just have the one or you just have the other, obviously, we're not going to get anywhere. Once we've defined the problem, we ideate. We come up with a few different solutions, and then we prototype these and we test it with users. And then the entire process kind of starts again. Now let's look at Agile. So for you guys, there's the requirements gathering and planning, goes into development, testing, UAT, delivery, and feedback. That last one is really important, and like I said, not many people do it. So if there's something I can plead with all of us, is to take that feedback, set up some way that you can track your users, bring that analytics back in, do user testing afterwards, and bring it back into the cycle. So for instance, this is how it should be, in a perfect world. Whether it happens or not is another story. So design should be sprint 0 and 1. Whether that's 2 weeks or 4 weeks, design needs to have a chance to do that research. The more time we have and the more chance and space we have to do these things, the less changes there are going to be through development, and the less, the more confidence we can have that when it actually goes out, we're 90% there or 80% there. Out of the design cycle, it goes into development sprint 1. And after we get the feedback, we want to bring something back into the next cycle. So even if it's something small, if for instance we've got analytics and we see people are really struggling finding the back button or there's a drop off, let's take something small and bring it into the next sprint, into that backlog. So that we don't just build, and then we get to the end and no one's using our product and now we don't know why. Cool. So something I would like to just leave you with and remember is that doing user research and testing gives you comfort in the direction that you're going to. We all work really hard, put in a lot of hours, and wouldn't we want to know, are we on the right track? And we are not our users, guys. We're very digitally savvy. We can pretty much navigate most apps, most websites, because we work with them every day. But when you're designing for someone that hates technology, we would think that a back button or a hamburger menu makes sense to them. A lot of the times it doesn't. Simple things like, I log in with Facebook all the time, social media logins. I could not be bothered filling something out. Out of the 40 people that I've tested this with, 3 of them actually log in with Facebook. So, and I was convinced. I was like, everybody logs in with Facebook, why wouldn't you? 3 out of 40 people actually, exactly. Exactly. So 3 out of 40 people actually logged in. And design should have a run-up before development starts. This will make the development easier. We won't be coming to you going, that doesn't look right. And I mean, everybody hates that. When we don't give that run-up, it's chaos. Because we are designing and figuring stuff out at the same time as UI is busy working on the UX, and then you guys are developing. It's a recipe for disaster, and we push stuff out just because we don't have time to change it. And then, don't hate us. We're all in the same boat as you. Let's all work together. So, thank you so much for listening to my crap. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything, I'll be by the drinks.